Hello everybody. I just thought I would put my 2 cents in on this gun control issue that's going on. Uh, I'm gonna do a more in-depth video of it later on, but there's like several videos I want to put together and stuff involving like violence in video games and violence in movies and such. And the only reason I'm gonna do it because I'm sure anybody who has a TV saw the commercial where all these actors came out and said enough, when's enough, and total hypocrites. Like all those actors starred in violent movies that killed lots and lots of people. So I definitely am gonna make a video response for that one. I already downloaded some videos that I got to clip and put together and stuff. Stuff I just want to use as evidence that movie violence does in fact promote actual violence in reality, and there'll be no denial once you guys see this video that I show you guys. You're going to be like, holy cow. It wait till you see it. But anyway, um, just so Obama's making this big push to limit guns and put more gun restrictions on. Well, we already have like 4,000 laws on gun restrictions and such like that through the United States. So adding more on, I guess, isn't going to hurt, right? But I guess they want to get rid of all the semi-automatic weapons, and a lot of people are, oh, that's, some people say that's cool, others don't agree with it. They say it's not going to solve anything. And a lot of people don't realize semi-automatics don't only apply to, these scary-looking, M16A2 surface rifles that you see. They do look intimidating, but they also apply to handguns or semi-automatic handguns and such. He wants to reduce the number of bullets that a clip can hold from like 10 to 7, and I don't see this as a solution to a problem. I just see it like somebody at a big rock, and they want that rock out of the way, and all they're doing is chiseling it to remove smaller pieces from it until eventually they can chisel at it no more because it's all gone. And that's all they're trying to do. They're just trying to take, basically they're just trying to take your guns one bit at a time. And then when you got countries like China and North Korea offering to give money to the United States to help them disarm the Americans, that should be raising red flags left and right. Two communist countries, and it's kind of scary. That's kind of like, it just seems like that's what America's heading to. I made some other videos in the past. I made a bunch of predictions in my November video that I released, and all of them came true. Except the one where I predicted Obama's going to get impeached. But in fact, there are people now trying to impeach Obama, even senators right now, and or making threats to do it. But I called it. I called it back in November, and so I figured I must know what I'm talking about if a lot of my predictions are coming true and such. I was even right about the fiscal cliff and such. I was right about taxes getting raised for basically everybody. So I might as well keep making videos. I was into ufology and stuff like that, but I've been getting more. They call it, anytime you talk about this kind of stuff, they label you as conspiracy theorist and stuff, and I guess that's supposed to be like, oh, we're not going to take anything you say seriously. That's just the way the media works and hypes it up and such. And even that commercial they came out with, where the NRA says the president's own kids have 14 armed guards, why isn't armed guards good enough for your kids? And then these two reporters on Fox News or CNN or whatever came out and acted like, oh my God, I can't believe they did this. This is like pornography, like to the lowest level. These people are just not with reality. It's like, we all know the media's been on Obama's side the whole entire time. And we also know, you can go through YouTube and you can look up videos where the president said, oh, I'm not going to increase any taxes. I'm not going to increase your payroll tax. For anybody that makes less than $400,000 a year, I'm not gonna, or $250,000 a year, I'm not gonna increase your payroll tax. I'm not gonna increase your capital gains tax. I'm not gonna increase your income tax. Well, as you all know now, all three of those have been increased for 77% of all Americans in this country. And that's even the ones that make $30,000 or more. And to make $30,000 a year really isn't that much, especially if you got to pay for health care and that if your employer doesn't provide it, or if you're self-employed. You know, it's kind of hard to afford the health care. And but anyway, I just thought I'd share with you guys, you know, why everybody else is out there watching TV and stuff or not paying attention. I'm not saying that's all of you, but Obama signed a protection bill for former presidents, and what you know, this protection bill goes back to exactly for Bill Clinton. So the last three presidents who got us into this mess, this financial meltdown and fiasco, Clinton, George Bush, and Obama. See, I'm not a side taker here. I don't side with Republicans. I don't side with Democrats. You know, when the vote came up, yeah, I voted for Romney. I took the lesser of two evils because I knew Obamacare was just a gigantic disaster. But to be honest with you, you know, this is part Bill Clinton's fault, George Bush's fault, and Obama's fault. And I don't care what anybody has to say. I've done the research. I'm not dumb. You know, I'm a business owner. I was in the Marines 4 years, graduated college. I mean, this is just common sense stuff you can find on the internet using scholarly sources, not those popular sources. You use scholarly sources that give you the true facts, and you read. But Obama just passed a bill that was already, he didn't pass the bill, basically all he did was modify it. Any president, you know, after their term had ended and was not president again, they would receive 10 years of protection from the Secret Service. Now Obama signed a bill that says they will receive lifetime protection. Lifetime protection for him and his spouse, and if you have kids, the protection will go for up until the age of 16 for your kids. Of course, it becomes void if you become divorced or whatever, but I don't see that happening here. But it's just another example of Obama trying to, you know, limit what you can have for your guns, and potentially, I can see it down the road, he's going to try to take everybody's guns. He's trying to say guns aren't good for you, but guns are good for me and my family. I mean, he's being a total hypocrite here. He sends his kids to a school that have 14 bodyguards, but then again, having armed guards in the school are not good enough for your kids. And it's just totally disgusting. And then all these actors that came out on TV on their commercials saying when's enough, you know, and they have their bodyguards. They have the money to pay for armed bodyguards and such. It's just total hypocrisy, and it's just totally repulsive, and it's disgusting, and I don't know what else to say. Another little thing I thought was interesting, that, you know, Obama, when he first became elected, he was like, I'm going to make government as transparent as possible. So he initiated a petition where a petition would be replied to by the White House, and this only stipulation was, at first, it had to be 5,000 signatures within 30 days to merit a response from the White House. Now, granted, some people were taking advantage of it for like stupid, ridiculous things like a Death Star or whatever, but I think that was more of a satire kind of approach to it. Like, these petitions are meaningless. We'd never get any valid responses from the White House anyway, so why not just use them for stupid, silly things? So now, if you want to get a response from the White House via petition, you have to get 100,000 responses. It did go from 5,000 to 25,000, but now a few months later, which like this month, it's now been upped up to 100,000. So now you need 100,000 signatures in 30 days to get a reply from the White House, which probably won't be will be a meaningless reply anyway. It's basically pointless. He's not being transparent at all. He wasn't transparent with his records. You know, he paid $3 million to have his records sealed and not open to the public. There's nothing transparent about the Obama administration whatsoever. And I don't know. I'm speaking from facts. You know, if anybody wants to you know, be like, oh, that's not right, look it up. All you got to do is look it up. It's on the internet. It's not hard to find, but that's what's going on. But like, back to the gun control thing, you know, he's trying to pass, like, now, you know, stricter medical exams. Like, they want to make sure you're mentally stable. And honestly, I could see, you know, this leading to a point like anybody who's labeled as a conspiracy theorist or anything like that could be labeled in that category of mentally unstable. I mean, I could honestly see it going like that. So if you're one of these guys who question the government and stuff like that, be careful, because they might take your guns from you, or you might not be able to buy a gun. Now, my problem with it, you know, I served 4 years in the Marines. That's the only time I ever held or handled a gun, or a weapon, or a rifle, or a handgun, you know, or a freaking AT-4 or 50 cal. It's the only time I did. When I got out, I never had the urge to buy a gun. You know, I kind of live in a decent area, and I don't need a gun. But being a, you know, a retired United States Marine, you know, who fought for his country, or put his name on the line, you know, for this country, I'd like to know that I have my Second Amendment right down the road if I ever do want to get involved, if I ever do want to buy a gun for protection. I might move somewhere where it's not as safe in the future, and I want to have the right to buy a gun. That's simple enough. I'm happy enough to know that that right's there, that if I wanted to buy a gun, I can. I don't own one right now, but I don't want that to go away. I don't want us to end up like the UK, you know, where, yeah, they got rid of their guns and their gun deaths went down to like 35 a year, but yet their violent crimes went up like 50-70%. You know, guns, actually, people buying guns in America has almost decreased violent crimes by 50%, well, 49% in the United States. It's fact. You can go on the FBI website and all that stuff. I mean, you can see it there. Violent crime has dropped by 50% in the United States, and that is completely related to guns. People, homeowners that have guns to protect their house and their homes and their family and their kids, you know, this is a force that has driven down violent crimes. Now, all he's trying to do, you know, get rid of our guns, make us register them and stuff. I mean, ugh. All it's going to do is leave the bad guys with guns and the good guys without guns. I mean, you honestly want my theory? This is my theory on it, and I haven't heard anybody else bring this up. But I think if you are real with yourself and you have enough common sense to look at the histories of other countries in this world, like Egypt, for example, who's gone default, and that you can tell that we are inevitably going to default eventually. I don't know if it's going to be this year or in the next 4 years, but we are sitting on $16 trillion in debt, which is, think of anything. There's not even 16 trillion stars in our galaxy. I mean, that's how big this number is, and they're expected to go up to 20 trillion by the time Obama's all said and done with his second term. Experts are saying once we hit that 20 trillion mark, we're no longer going to be a solvent country. We're not going to be able to pay that back. A lot of countries already are not even using the dollar anymore as a standard currency. China is right now trying to make their currency the standard. It's possible even that the Japanese currency could collapse. Spain is getting close to default. UK, the euro, Look at what happened to their euro. It used to be worth like 2.5 times more than the US dollar. Now it's only worth, what, 25 cents more than the US dollar. You know, that's a big fall. Remember when you were a kid, if you were an American I'm talking to, I don't know who's watching my video, but remember when you were a kid and you'd get those Canadian nickels or quarters and you'd feel cheated? You're like, oh great, Canadian quarter, Canadian nickel, this thing's worth like a penny. Those are actually worth more now than the US dollar, and a Canadian nickel is worth more than a US nickel. A Canadian quarter is worth more than a US quarter. I mean, if that ain't a wake-up call, I don't know what is. You know, our value of the dollar has dropped 16% like since 2007. I remember in 2007, just because of the industry I was in at the time, you know, the for $1 could buy $1.27 of Canadian money. Now a US dollar can buy 97 cents of Canadian money, and it's just going to keep dropping. You know, look at Germany. They asked for all their gold back from the United States. And what do they have? 3,000 tons of gold, and we can only give them like 300 tons back right now. I mean, when countries start asking for their gold back that's deposited in other countries, that's a sign that something bad is going to happen. That's a sign that the financial banks in that country do not trust the financial banks in the other country. I mean, that's just like a red flag right there. And at first Germany wanted it all back, but now the banks here in the US are saying, well, we can only give you 300 tons of it back right now, and that's going to take 7 years to do it. And then the question is, you have to ask yourself, why is it going to take 7 years to do it? Why is it going to take 7 years just to get 300 tons of the gold back? And just from like what I've been reading around is and I don't know, it's kind of scary, but what they've been doing with this gold is they've been selling it to multiple people. Oh, that'd be like me having 1 ounce of gold in the bank, and then I sold it to John for $1,900, and then I sold it to Beth for $1,900, and I sold it to so-and-so for $1,900. All I can do is keep my fingers crossed and hope that all three of them don't come back to me at the same time and ask for all their gold back, because somehow I'm going to have to shit out 2 more ounces of gold. But I won't be able to, because I only have 1 ounce of gold, but I lended out money, or I took money from them. You know, it's ridiculous. And I don't know. Like, I heard Glenn Beck on the radio today. That guy's a fucking idiot. And he's talking about there should be, I don't know, 6,000 tons of gold in the Federal Reserve. And I'm like, seriously, Glenn Beck? You think there's gold in the Federal Reserve? There's no gold in the Federal Reserve. Ben Bernanke came out and said that to Ron Paul like a few years ago. Like, the Federal Reserve got rid of gold like so many years ago. Like, since the 1930s, there's been no gold in the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve has no gold. So there's absolutely nothing backing up the U.S. Money. That's why it's called fiat money. It's worth nothing. It's just a belief that there is a value to it. So, well, I don't know what to tell you guys. Sorry I kind of got off track here. This stuff is just so frustrating. And, but I'm going to keep reading up on it. This gun control thing, it's ridiculous. Like, I don't know, some of you guys are coming out saying it was all like a perpetrated, plot to get, or basically a conspiracy theory that it was all orchestrated, and that I don't believe Sandy Hook was orchestrated like it one bit. All I saw, it was just an opportunity for the Obama White House administration to jump on it and try to get our guns, And if you haven't noticed, like, I don't even have TV, but I'm on the internet, and every day the media is putting up a story about oh, this person got shot here, these two people got shot here. And it's like every day there's a shooting story where somebody got killed from guns in the United States and such. But they never put any stories up like how many people protected themselves from criminals, every day using a gun. Like how many people protected their wife and their kids, or how many, you know, mothers at home alone protected their kids from some break-in, or protected themselves from getting raped. They never put that in the media. All they do is put all the shootings and shootings and shootings, to try to get you on their side of getting your guns. All I can say is if they get our guns, it'll just be a total disaster. They'll be able to tell us what to do, when to do it, and they'll be able to take whatever they want from you when they want to. So I agree with some of the other more extreme people out there. Like if they take your guns, you're basically screwed. You're not gonna once they take your guns, boom, then they're gonna start taking other rights away from you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And to get back to the theory I was talking about, the one that I've never heard anybody else talk about, is that I think the only reason they're working on getting our guns now is because they know the economy is going to collapse eventually. And when it does collapse, they don't want anybody to have their guns, because that's going to make cleanup a lot harder. It's just like what they did in New Orleans when they sent in the National Guard and they disarmed all those people that had guns in New Orleans. Registered gun owners, that people that were law-abiding citizens who were in their houses, protecting their property. They went into every house and took everybody's guns. There's even that video on YouTube where they're in there and they took a rifle from an old lady. They even pushed the old lady to the floor. So, alright, well that's my thoughts for today. If you have any comments, please leave them below, or anything you want me to talk about or look up, I'll look up and gladly talk about it and that. So, but thanks for listening, and please subscribe to my channel. Thanks guys, bye.